I'm Spencer.
And I'm Luke Smith. Wait, no, I'm not. I'd be burned already. Anyway.
And I'm the man off the camera.
Yeah.
And this is The Edge.
The man behind the voice.
And we're here to talk about Destiny's recent drama leading up to the release of The Taken King.
Yeah.
So, Eric, what happened this last week?
So this last week we had Eurogamer doing an interview with Luke Smith, the creative director for Destiny. Just a little bit about Luke Smith's background. He started off as a writer for Kotaku. Then he moved to 1UP, did a podcast. Then he moved to... He was most famous for his article talking about why Halo 2 sucked. Then he got hired on at Bungie doing PR. Then he became a creative director for Destiny.
Blows minds.
In this interview with Eurogamer, Eurogamer, at this point they had just announced that Destiny was going to be coming out September 15th. For if you were a very new player, you could buy the game at $60, and you'd get the original game, the 2 DLCs, and the expansion for $60. For if you wanted the collector's edition, as a year one player, as a new player, you could spend $80. That $80 got you all the previous content that I just mentioned and the collector's edition content.
Ooh.
Then, for the people who purchased the game year one, so a year ago, you can buy the expansion itself for $40. If you wanted the collector's edition, so if year one players wanted the collector's edition, you had to purchase the $80 game.
Can we break down what the collector's edition has in it?
The collector's edition has 3 items, basically. The digital collector's edition. The physical copy has a lot more stuff. But the digital one has 3 shaders.
Whoa.
Has 3 class-specific emotes. And also...
3 class-specific emos? Like emo kids?
Emotes, like... actions like waving,
gotcha,
pointing, dancing, casual. Like and then the item that most people the 2 items that most people seem to be yelling about are the dance moves, the emotes, and the exotic class items that increase your experience gain for levels, armor, and weapons. They haven't announced to what percentage those are being boosted by, but it does speed up your gameplay.
Those actually sound like the only ones that matter.
Yeah, those the dance moves, and the other thing with the dance moves is that they've already been... I found video of dance moves that they showed off during like the Ice Bucket Challenge phases. They showed that off over a year ago.
Yeah.
And now they're just releasing it in the collector's edition.
That's good.
So, basically, in the interview... The community, or before the interview, the community was raging the fact that if you wanted the collector's edition items, you had to spend $80 and you had to repurchase the original game, the 2 DLCs, and people were just angry the fact that they had to do that. What they wanted was a way to just buy the expansion and the collector's edition items. So in this interview, Eurogamer decided to complain for the community and take the community side. And as a journalist, I don't really believe that you should be taking sides. I think you should be asking questions and inquiring. But in the interview, he took himself out of that by saying, as a fan, I want this.
Yeah.
And it created a weird hostility in the interview when you read through it. But basically what had happened, what caused the drama was Luke Smith stated... it's priced at $80. If you want this content, you're going to spend $80. And then he goes on to state that he didn't understand why the interviewer was so excited for these things when he's never seen them before. And his most quotable line from it was, if I put these up on the screen right now, you would just throw money at it. Basically saying that he didn't care what the content was, that the Eurogamer as a fan would just purchase it. So he was leading into the fact of, you guys don't really care what quality of stuff we put out there, you're just going to buy it because you're fans. He then also goes on to state that The Eurogamer then asks, okay, next question. The game's priced at $40, which is 2/3 the cost of the original game.
Yeah.
But the game has about 25 to 30% of the content of the original game. Do you feel that that price point justifies the game? Luke Smith then states, yes, I do. I believe that it's enough content, and so on and so forth. Nothing really shocking there. They believe that their stuff is worth this much, they're going to sell it for this much. And I don't think he presented that in a bad way, but he handled the collector's edition pretty badly, stating that you'll just buy content no matter what.
Yeah, and it's weird because I don't see that phrase that way. When he says, when you see it, you're going to throw your money at the screen. I don't see it as him wording it that way, but I guess I could see how it could be considered like that.
What do you mean?
But the way that I view that, like, you're gonna throw money at the screen, is that it's so good that it's worth any amount of money, and it'll be worth it. Like, you'll love it so much.
In context, though, he wasn't saying that you're going to love it. He was stating that you don't even know what it is, and you're trying to throw money at it.
Well, but he said you would know because you'd see it on the screen.
Right, but he originally stated you don't even know what the content is, you don't know the quality of it, and you'd throw money at it. If I threw it up on the screen right now, you'd for sure throw money at it. So it's just the hype, basically.
Gotcha. Yeah, I can see how it could be construed that way.
I think it really just comes off as really arrogant, because this is a guy who has a background in public relations, and to kind of come out and be like, oh, you're totally going to want it, especially in an interview. I mean, there's bad things on both sides. Okay, interviewers should have been biased, or should have remained unbiased, as unbiased as possible.
Yeah, because this was just an E3 thing where
It was post E3.
they're just like talking about they're here to market their game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you're a Eurogamer, you're just getting the facts. I don't care about what your opinion is as a quote-unquote journalist. I just want to hear, okay, tell me what else is going on with this. But when you're like, oh, do you think that's enough? Like, you're asking questions that are really going to get him riled up. And in some instances, I think he was. He just handled it incorrectly. He probably did get riled up and got defensive, but then he tried to just, like, return it and be on the offensive and be like, oh, you're going to throw money at this. Maybe. That's a stretch. But maybe, by the way he was reacting, he's like, oh, I need to defend myself. And
Yeah, because he did, in the interview, he did switch it. Like, he basically he took over the interview, because the interview was like, all right, well, I just want to move on to the next question. And he's like, oh, last question. And then Luke Smith responded with, is that the last question about shaders? And the guy was like, what? And he's like, Luke Smith then took over and said, all right, I have questions for you. I'm going to poke you.
yeah.
And like the poke part, or pick, I think he said pick or poke.
If it's poke, it's like Facebook.
Yeah. He was like, I'm
If
going
it's
to pick or
pick,
poke
it's
at you
like
now. And the guy was like, poke at me?
Yeah.
And he started going into the whole thing. But, so this whole interview was a fiasco. And the community was raging already. And then they saw this interview and it made them rage even more. To the point where a couple days later, Bungie stated, hey, you know what? Due to a recent interview, we are rethinking things. We are working on some stuff. Give us some time, and this Thursday we'll present you with with what we're doing. And basically, the only way that I could really see them fixing this is exactly what happened. They are offering the collector's edition for year one gamers who played originally for $60. So you can get the expansion for $40 and then digitally upgrade for $20 to get the collector's edition content. Fantastic. That's actually what should have happened in the first place. I don't know how this was overlooked, because spending $80 and getting content that you already had, and also, even if you look at it this way, you spend $80 on the original content, you then have an extra copy of Destiny and the Destiny 1 and 2 DLCs. Well, okay, I'm going to sell it to one of my friends then and make a little profit. I'll sell it to him for $20. Okay, well, you sell it to them for $20, they still have to buy the expansion at $40. They now spent $60 on this game. But Bungie's already offering a $60 version of the game that comes with everything. So at that point, why are you the middleman trading things around like that? So there was no way to there's nothing to do with this extra content you were getting. You were just getting it. So the fact that they're offering the $60 collector's edition is fantastic. In the on Thursday when they announced that, they also announced they gave us previews of some of the items that we'll be getting, mainly the shaders for the year one people, because not the collector's edition stuff. We haven't gotten full details on that yet. But they did show off year one people like, hey, look, we do love you guys. We're not trying to dick you. Here's what you're getting. Here's what we already planned to give you. And I gotta say, the black shaders and the black sparrow, pretty badass. I'm excited to get that, and that's free. As long as you buy the Taken King, you get that.
That's cool.
Yeah. But I situate this. But addressing kind of like just the whole thing and the resolution and all, like, what's your take on it?
How was this handled?
Me personally, if we're gonna start with me, because whatever. My opinion is not very sunny for video gamers
In Philadelphia.
Yeah, it's not always so sunny in Philadelphia.
No.
My big problem is that too many of these gamers have really big mouths on the internet, and they talk and they're like, "Yeah, I'm mad about it," but they're also the people that spend 400 hours playing this game. And are going to buy it, and are going to buy a collector's edition that has different colors. What was it?
Emotes.
Dance moves.
Dance moves, basically.
So emotes. Okay, bunch of emo kids rocking around, and then it has an experience boost, which we don't even know what the experience boost is.
The percentage.
That could be a good item. It might not be a good item. I don't know.
It's gonna be used.
Yeah, it'll fill the slot.
Everything in this game requires experience. Now you can move it 3% faster. I'm just throwing 3% out there because that's like the minimum I think it should be.
Yeah. I mean, either way, it's going to be used because the normal slot means nothing, right?
Yeah,
it's
currently.
aesthetic.
So it'll be used. So that's great. But this content is not anywhere near worth $20. I'm just going to throw that out there. And this is, I think it's almost fact. Like, this content, it's a couple shaders, none of this for $20. Think about what you can get for $20 in terms of video games. You can get quite a bit, and this to me is nothing. But I know everybody that plays Destiny, or a ton of people that play Destiny, are going to get it. So if you're going to complain about it, don't complain by saying something on a message board. Complain by not buying it. That's the only thing I can say. That's all I got to say about it. Otherwise, I'm going to make a bunch of people who play Destiny really mad. I could go on for hours, but I won't. That's my take on it.
So, Justin, what's your look at this?
I have a real big problem with two things. The one thing is the use of the term expansion. I understand that it's literally semantics. It's as opposed to saying it as DLC, because if you call it if you call it an expansion, that implies there's more to it. But based on what I've been hearing, it feels like it's there's a little bit more like there's a new world, right? Like roughly.
Yeah, there's a new zone.
Yeah, it's in the Reef, and as far as you know, or maybe
I thought it was supposed to be off Saturn. Last I heard.
Yeah, it's a new zone regardless. You have a couple other things here and there, but I feel like, to put it in perspective, when Diablo was it? I forgot what it was. Last expansion for Diablo 3 came out.
Reaper of Souls?
Yes, thank you. They added the Crusader. They added a new area, and they added what's up? They added a new area, a new class. You're throwing me off, and that was roughly it. A couple of little minor fixes. They added the ability to, I believe it was transmogging came in there, and that was kind of it. And what really actually sold me on really getting the game was the fact that it was the updates that came after it really personalized the experience. There's a couple other things in there, but people who are just playing it for, some people do play it just for the story. And them running through playing the story, it's just another scenario. It's not really the longest scenario. Sure, it ties up a couple loose ends, you kill a couple of guys you didn't think you were going to be able to, but that's about it. And if I'm basing expansions off of that, I wouldn't put it at like $20 extra. Like, because what they're saying is, they're essentially saying it's
$40, right?
Well, it's $40, and then, but it's $40, but if you get an expansion, it's $60.
Yeah.
I have a gripe with that because if it's $40 already, I better have some interesting stuff.
I think I need to clarify some things for you. They're adding a new zone. They're adding 3 subclasses, one for each class.
Okay.
They're adding new PvP modes and a new raid and multiple new strikes.
What's multiple?
They haven't announced, but it's gonna. I know that PlayStation's should be getting another exclusive one.
Yeah. Well,
So-
I mean, the thing is, I can only base it on what everyone's getting. I can't say about what PlayStation's getting.
Mm-hmm.
So we're, for however many strikes or whatever, I feel like that's just a little bit too much money.
Didn't Bungie once promise a raid and didn't deliver it?
Yeah, in this last expansion, they promised a raid, and supposedly we're still supposed to be getting it before the Taken King hits.
Yeah.
But there hasn't been a confirmation of that.
So maybe
Now,
who knows?
in comparison to the DLCs that Destiny's previously provided,
Mm-hmm.
you get 1 raid, 1 strike, 5 or 6 story missions, and that's it.
New weapons.
And
yeah.
new weapons and armor and stuff, obviously. But in comparison, the Taken King is offering 2 to 3 times the content.
Okay.
So in Destiny's world, this is an expansion.
Well,
Do I agree that this should be like in the future, like the
How would you?
the
How would you
word
carry
is
itself?
escaping me. Like that. This is the
mold.
mold
Benchmark.
going
Yeah,
forward.
Yeah,
the benchmark.
Yeah.
I don't think that
Standard.
this should be the standard.
Uh-huh.
But currently, $40
Based on what people have paid for.
based off what people have paid for previously for Destiny. This is a lot more content than the DLCs have offered.
I mean, and I don't want to look at it, and it's because it's not out. I don't want to look at it and go, oh, this really isn't enough stuff because I haven't really seen everything that's come out for it yet. But and that's always a tricky thing with expansions. I mean, I'm just playing one right now, and I'm pleasantly surprised that the money I put into it is worth it. But that's because I know Square when it comes to this game. For Destiny, I was a little bit disappointed, and I've stressed this to you. The exploration factor isn't really entirely there.
Mm-hmm.
So if they're calling it's a big world, vast world, I don't want it by their standards.
Yeah.
A vast world. Oh, hey, we have another Mars-size level. Where I didn't use half of the place? You
Yeah.
know? I want huge. I want it to be different, and I want you to actually show your love, love of your world inside your world.
Yeah.
So I'm really on the fence, and I'm just worried about the price.
I have not pre-ordered it yet
Yeah.
because I want to see more before I do. My big thing is the amount of quests, like the story they're going to be telling me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll play the game, but to me, if I can still play with my friends with the current Destiny that I have now, I don't think that the new one's going to offer me enough content to make me want to purchase it for a couple new subclasses, mainly one subclass that I'll actually want to play.
Yeah.
The new raid, yes. The new strikes, I don't really care. Because
Just more
in
weeklies.
Destiny, strikes don't mean all that much. They don't reward you with anything.
Yeah.
The weekly Nightfall and the weekly Heroic reward you.
I
And it's
would
just
ask
creating
you,
new maps.
with the new expansion, if you didn't get the new expansion, would you be able to get the same items that you could get with the expansion?
Not all of them. You
I
would.
think that's going to be the main draw. I think that's how
So
these games
you
go.
can see. This is where it gets tricky because I previously didn't purchase one of the DLCs, and I was still able to buy gear that put me to the max level previously. So I think it was the Dark Below when they raised it to 32. I went from I didn't purchase the DLC, went into the game, and they were offering. They were selling gear at the tower to get you to level 30, even though the cap is now 32. My character was stuck at 28 because of I never did Vault of Glass, but the gear they sold at the Vanguard got me to 30, so it got me to the end of the previous content.
Okay.
So you can still get gear to upgrade, and it technically is new, but it's not the best gear at the time. But you can still get some of the newer things
Okay.
without the content.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a price point problem for me. That's all.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing, and this is the reason why I haven't gotten any DLC, is because I'm like, well, I'm just waiting for the next one at this point. Just waiting, because right now they're trapped in what their game allows them to do. There's smaller worlds than what, you know, one would really appreciate, in my opinion. And I think a sequel is going to be the only thing that fixes that. You know?
I think no longer supporting PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 will allow that.
Absolutely. They need to move on. Holy crap. Activision's one of the last guys to be going, oh, like, freaking the new freaking Call of Duty is coming out on PS3. And Xbox just, you're out of your mind,
Just
dude.
want to make that money.
Just upgrade already. Like, I get it, but there's big enough install base to where you're not really going to suffer. You stop loving your money so much.
All right.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I'm Spencer.
And I'm,
And I'm Eric.
Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Check us out on This Is The Itch on Twitch.
And on doesthisgamesuck.com/theitch.
we do new videos every week.
Thanks for watching.
Bye.